Hello everyone, this is Amit. Welcome to another Notepad++ tutorial. In this video, we'll learn how you can master top 7 Notepad++ line operations. And these operations include duplicating the line, move lines, remove empty lines, remove duplicate lines, join or split lines, and hide lines. Now, I'm also going to add timestamp in this description of this video. And so if you're already familiar with some of these tips, then you can skip to the next one. All right, so let's get started. All right, so the very first tip is about duplicating line. So let me open Notepad++. So here I have a Notepad++, and I would like to duplicate certain lines in Notepad++. So I have a Java file that is open. And if I would like to duplicate a particular line, then you just select the line, go to Edit, go to Line Operations, and duplicate current line. And you can see that it just copied the existing line. Now, I don't need to be selecting a line as long as I'm in that particular line. As long as the cursor is on a particular line, it should still work. So let's check. I'm going to click here, the very first line, even though I don't want to really duplicate it, but let's just see if it works or not. So I'll go to Edit, Line Operations, and Duplicate Line. And you can see even though I didn't select the line, it was still able to duplicate it. I'll do Control Z, which will undo the changes that I've done. Let's go back to this HTML file. Now, duplicating line makes more sense in example like this. For example, if you have a list item and you would like to add new list item, you can simply just select or just keep your cursor there, go to Edit, Line Operations, and duplicate current line. And you can see it just added a new list item, and then you can say, new list items, right? Now, you can always use this menu item, but there is a faster way to do it, and that is using a keyboard shortcut, which will be Control D, D for duplicate. And so if I want to duplicate this line, all I have to do is just type Control D, and you can see you can create as many duplication of that line as you want. I'll do Control Z again. Now this will also work if you select multiple lines. So let's say I selected these two lines, and I'll do Control D, and you can see it actually duplicated those two lines using Control D. And so this is the very first tip about duplicating line. This is extremely useful when you're coding and when you would like to just quickly copy the previous line and make some changes to it rather than typing the entire line. And so make sure that you use this. Now, the next tip is about moving line, and that goes along with the duplicate line. So let's go back. And again, let's say I have this list items, and I would like to change the order of these list items. And so I can move the line up and down. Now, one way to do it is just select, cut, and paste, but that is pretty tedious, right? And so instead of that, I can just select the line, or as in the previous case, just keep the cursor right there and go to Edit, go to Line Operations, and move current line up or move down current line. So let's go up, and it actually went outside this ordered list. So let's go back, Edit, Line Operations, and I'm going to say move down the current line, and it came back here, as you can see. By the way, if you guys are interested in this dark mode for Notepad++, I'm going to link how you can change your Notepad++ into dark mode right here on top right corner. And so make sure that you check that video in which I go into detail how you can make your Notepad++ into dark mode. And it is really cool way to do it. And so make sure you check that video. And so coming back to moving items or moving lines, you can select multiple lines also, and it will also work the same way. So let's say this is the entire order list block that I would like to move maybe right at the beginning after the body tag. Okay, and so I can go to Search and go to Edit, go to Line Operations, and move line up. Now this will be pretty tedious to do one at a time, But the good thing is there is already a keyboard shortcut, and that is Control Shift Up arrow or Control Shift Down arrow. So if I press Control Shift together and go up, as you can see, this entire order list is going up, or it can go down. And so this is, and we would like to put it right after the body tag. And so now you can see that I move this entire code block using Move Line feature. So again, just to remember, the keyboard shortcut for moving line is Control Shift Up or Control Shift Down. And so again, if I go back here, let's say I would like to move these table row up or down, I can just select Control Shift and down, and I can move this entire 4 lines simultaneously. So again, this is a very useful tip when you are doing a lot of code editing. Let's go to the third tip, and that is remove empty lines. So let's go back and let's go this time to this example.java. And let's say I'm modifying my code and I have a number of, let's say, empty lines in them. Okay. And I would like to remove these empty lines. Is there a quick way to do it rather than deleting each of these one at a time? And so definitely there is an option to do that. So let's say I just put some extra spaces or extra lines actually, and I would like to remove it. And so all I have to do is to go to Edit, go to Line Operations again, and just click on Remove Empty Lines. And so you can see that it removed those empty lines. But if you notice, we also added some additional empty lines, but that did not clean those, or that did not remove. And so what exactly happened? Well, so one way to check is to enable show symbol or special characters, which is right here. And so I'm going to click on that. And if you can see, this CRLF is a carriage return and line feed, and that is basically a new line character in Notepad++ or any other text editor. But if you notice, these were supposed to be the empty lines, but then there is this arrow, this long arrow, and that is actually a tab character, which is a hidden character, so you don't see it when you are not showing all the symbol. But those characters are still there in that line, and that was the reason why it did not remove that particular line, because technically that line was not empty. So now, is there a way to actually remove these lines which has special characters that you don't really care about? So definitely there is a way. So I'm going to click on this show symbol so to disable that, and I'm going to go to Edit, go to Line Operations, and then this time just below Remove Empty Line, I'm going to click Remove Empty Line containing blank characters, and so that includes a space or a tab. So let's click on that, and now you can see that all those empty lines that were right around here are gone. If I do Control Z, which is undo, then you will see those empty lines. So all these empty lines that were there were gone when I removed the empty line that included the blank characters. Now this can be really useful. Imagine you have a CSV file with a certain number of data, and then you do certain kind of operation on it, and then you end up adding some spaces or empty lines in them. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly demonstrate that. So let's copy this, and let's say these have these empty lines. You don't want to just go and manually edit these and remove those. And so in this case, you can easily remove these empty lines that you have introduced during your data manipulation by simply one click. So go to Edit, go to Line Operations, and remove empty lines. So you can see all those empty lines are gone. Now let's say I'll add some empty lines, and then I'll put some spaces. So in fact you don't see it because again space is also a non or a hidden character. But if I click on this icon here, which will show all characters, you will see these dots which really mean a space there. And so again, you may come across when you are changing your data, and you may have some spaces, so make sure that you use remove empty line including blank characters to remove those empty lines. And so if I go back to edit, go to line operations, and if I click on this one, you will see that it didn't clean this up. But if I go back to edit, line operations, but this time I'll pick remove empty lines containing blank characters, it was able to remove those spaces in them. All right, so that is the third tip about line operations, in which we learn how you can remove empty lines. Now the fourth trick is how you can remove duplicate line. Now this is also a very common scenario. For example, you have a certain amount of data and you would like to make sure that you remove all the duplicate lines. So this is a pretty good example, because I copy pasted a certain number of values. Let's say I would like to remove all the duplicate values. So you can see there's 1.2 here, 1.2 here, 1.2, and so on, 3.4, 3.4. And so, for example, in your case, you have a certain lines that are duplicated and you would like to remove that, right? And so there is a very easy way to actually remove all the duplicate lines. Now one way is definitely you can search and replace and so on, but in that case you will always have to do it one at a time. For example, you have to remove 1.2 duplicates, 3.4 duplicates, 0.5 duplicates, 0.6 duplicates, and so on, right? But it would be pretty good if it can do all of these right with a single click, and that is where the remove duplicate line comes into picture. And so let's go ahead and go to edit, go to line operations, and then there is an option called remove duplicate lines right here. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to click on that. Actually, we should select the data. So let's select the data, go to edit, line operations, and remove duplicate lines. And you can see that it removed all those duplicates of 1.2, 3.4, 0.5, and 0.6. Again, if I do Control Z, you can see that it was repeated 4 times, I guess, or 4 or 5 times. But when I selected the data, I went to edit, go to line operations and remove duplicate lines. It was able to remove the duplicates of all these values. And that should be good enough for any other example as well. For example, let's say actually this is the one that I duplicated, if you remember earlier on. So let's say if I select these two and go to edit, line operations, and I say remove duplicate line, and you can see that it removed one of the other line that had the same content. So that is again very handy feature which will allow you to remove duplicate lines in any of your source code. Hello everyone, let me just take a quick 5-second break from the video. If you like the content of this video, then please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I post new Notepad++ videos every week, and there are a number of playlists that you can check it out. So make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get the notification of the new videos. Now let's continue. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the next one is joining a line. Now, where would you like to see this? So let's go back. And let's say I have a number of names, for example. So for example, this is my name, by the way. And then Sean Smith, Jane. And let's say I'm going to put a comma at the end. And let's say I would like to join these multiple lines into a single line. So there is a very easy way to join lines using line operations. So all you have to do is select all the lines that you would like to join, and you go to edit, go to line operations, and click join lines. And you can see it removed those 3 names into just a single line, right? Now this can be handy if, for example, if you are doing some kind of an array operation and you have the list of names and you would like to put them into just a single line. I can go to edit, line operations, and then join line, or there is a shortcut which is Control J for join. And so I can select 3 lines and press Control J, and now I have this sort of array ready for whatever code that I'm doing, right? And so this is again a very simple and but yet powerful way to just join lines, and this should work with any of any kind of data. So let's go back here, and I will try to join these. Okay, so I'll select those 4 lines, go to edit, line operations, and join lines. And so you can see that it actually adds an additional space between them so that you can distinguish between them. So it doesn't join without adding a space. It always adds an additional space so that you can distinguish between them. Right? So this is also a very quick way to join the lines. So let's see that the next tip, number 6, is splitting the line. And splitting line is opposite to join lines that we just saw. There may be a case where you would like to split lines instead of joining them. And so let's take for example, and so I'll go back to our Notepad++, and I have this text which is basically MIT license, and let's say I would like to split this line. Now before I split them, let's click on this show all characters. Okay, so it added these characters return and line feed at the end of each line. It was already there, by the way. And if you look at these line numbers, there's a line number 1, 2, and 3, and then there is no 4 comes right here. So what is happening here? So Notepad++ is wrapping these sentence in so that you can see. So let's uncheck the wrapping, which is right here, I think, word wrap. So let's click on that, and now you can see that there are only about 7 lines, right? And then this line goes all the way back and forth, and so you can wrap this line by clicking this word wrap, and it will wrap it based upon whatever the size of your Notepad++ is. But maybe there is a time where you don't want to wrap the line. You would rather break these lines or split these lines into a fixed number of characters. Let's say I would like to limit these characters to about 80 characters, which is actually this line here. If I select this entire line right from this line, you can see that I have selected 80 characters. And so let's say I would like to limit this text, in this case it's a license, but it could be anything, to a certain length, and then you would like to split that line at that point. And so you can easily use one of the line operation to do that. And so one way to do it is you actually resize your Notepad++ to wherever you would like to break. So as you can see, it was like this, and I'm going to resize it to about 80 characters right here. Okay, now that I have resized it to where I would like to split the line, all I have to do is go to edit. In fact, let's select this paragraph, go to edit, line operation, and split lines. Okay, so what just happened? And so you can see that it actually split the line, because now you can see this carriage return at the end. I'm going to remove that so that it looks better. For whatever reason, it added these multiple empty lines, but you can see that now this particular line, which was really long from left to right, is split into multiple lines, and so which is about 80 or less number of characters per line. And so again, let's try again. I'm going to select this. Let's resize it back to about 80 characters right here, and then I'm going to select this paragraph and go to edit, go to line operations, and split line, and it did split that, and we can test it out right here. As I make it full screen, you can see that there is a actually line break right here. And then let's try this last one. Again, this is a single paragraph, a single line, which we would like to break it into multiple. Okay, so I'll go to edit, go to line operations, and split lines, and now it is split into multiple lines. As you can see, we only had 7 lines, and now we have about 19. So that is how you can split lines. And there might be a time, especially in case of comments, it comes really handy. For example, let's say you have a particular comment and you add some comments, or you may remove these. Let's say I'm going to remove something here because you're changing the documentation or something in your, and all of a sudden it looks pretty bad, as you can see. And so in that case, you can split the line to make it look better. Okay. All right. So the very last tip in this video is hiding lines. Now let's go back here to one of the example, and let's say I'm working on some big code here, and I would like to just hide certain lines. You can easily do that by selecting that particular block of lines and then right click on it, and then there is a hide line right here. And so you can see that it just added these arrows, which signifies that there is a hidden line or lines here. And so this would allow you, if you are not interested or if you are not planning to make any changes to a particular set of code, you can simply just hide them. And so you can easily just go up and down easily without having to scroll through a big set of code that you are not going to make any changes to. And so again, select the data or select the lines. You can also go to, by the way, edit and line operation, and there should be somewhere a hide line. I don't see it here, but actually it is right in the right click menu. So you can select and then hide lines and so on. So for example, let's say I'm not interested in this table right now. So I select them, right click and click hide lines. And now you can see it's a lot of lines, but still some of them are hidden. Now if you want to remove the hidden line, all you have to do is just click on one of these arrows and it will open them and it will remove those. So if I click on this, it'll go and expand basically those hidden lines. And so it's very easy to just hide line or unhide the lines. All right. So we learned a lot of tips today. We learned how you can duplicate lines, how you can remove lines, how you can remove the empty lines, and also how you can remove the duplicate lines. And we also spend good amount of time in joining and splitting lines and hiding lines. So I hope you learned something new in Notepad++ today. And I know that there is a lot of information here, but as you work on these, once you master these, you can be really fast in as a developer in whatever programming language you are using. So these are a very handy tips that will help you to become a faster, more efficient programmer. So if you like this video, please click on the like button. And if you would like to see similar content, please subscribe to my channel. I post new videos about Notepad++ and other text editors and programming tips and tricks. And so if you are interested in similar kind of content, make sure that you subscribe, and also make sure you click on the bell icon so that you can get notified. All right. So thank you for watching and have a good day.